Hello everybody and welcome to the Radical Esports Cup, ready for a new season in Season 3 of 2026. We come to Road America for round 1 of our championship. Off the back of a championship victory in the iRacing standings for Andre Castro by a very, very close margin of just 16 points last season. And on our Friday nights, he took our RaceSpotTV standings as well. We're ready for a new season, a new campaign, starting here from Road America here tonight. It is myself, Ian O'Leary, and Jeremy Scott with you for all the action. Jeremy, good to be alongside you, starting off here at Road America. A good place to start here in these SR10s, I feel. A nice place to get this season kicked off around this American racetrack.
Yeah, Ewan, great to be with you. And of course, Radical Cup North America having a triple header this weekend alongside the NTT IndyCar Series. So it almost feels right to be here at the National Park of Speed as we're going through qualifying right now. Of course, the conditions. Well, somebody who's called the Radical Cup North America, Road America, it feels just like it should.
Well, absolutely, indeed. It starts off a 12-week season running all the way to September 4th, where we'll have a final race live here on RaceSpotTV and on the iRacing YouTube channel as well. Nürburgring is next week, followed by Barber, Imola, Road Atlanta, Silverstone, Willow Springs, I'm looking forward to, Lime Rock Park, Zolder, Phillip Island, Mosport, Interlagos to round out the 12-week calendar. As I say, Nürburgring next week, but not on the north side this time round. That has been bypassed. Instead, we're just staying to the Grand Prix circuit in 1 week's time. So some of the other familiar names are in there, some other unfamiliar names as well. As I mentioned, just to clean up everything from last season, because it wasn't quite clear when we left you 2 weeks ago, but in the we did just about get it right. Andre Castro did indeed hold on to win the iRacing official standings. He got 1,838 points, plays Harvard Gullickson's 1,822. I've got to admit, Jeremy, I don't follow these iRacing seasons maybe as close as I should do. And so I don't know in the context of previous seasons just how close that is in terms of whether this is the closest in however long. But what I do know is that over the course of 12 weeks, obviously with a few dropped, but over the course of 12 weeks and over 1,800 points accumulated, to have the gap just 16 between those two drivers is pretty incredible.
And of course, having Gullickson so close to Andre Castro, who, by the way, still tops the SRO Touring Car America Championship, that says something about his talent. But you know, you take a look at up and down the paddock here in the Radical Cup, basically the Radical Cup paddock. It is absolutely stacked and packed. And yeah, like you said, a lot of names we know, a lot of names we really don't know either.
Yeah, indeed. That's always the fascination with these officials here on Fridays. As I mentioned in the iRacing, the RaceSpotTV standings, the ones that we collect from Friday nights over the course of the 12 weeks, Andre Castro accumulated the best results over the course of the season. 5 victories, 3 second places in the 8 weeks that he was here, and so he picked up 185 points. Howard Gullickson was in the top 10 on 10 occasions out of the 12, and was only 8 points behind, despite gaining 5 at Adelaide, actually, in that final race of the season. That was Howard Gullickson's first win on a Friday night on one of our broadcasts since Belle Isle of Season 4 of 2025. So it's been getting on for 9 months since he's won on a Friday night here on RaceSpotTV or on iRacing, so YouTube and Twitch channels. Great to see him back on the top step at the final week of the season. We're underway for qualifying now, though, just less than 5 minutes to go. As you say, we do have a mix of names. In the number 1 car, actually, here this week, Jeremy, is Brandon Hawkin. Clearly got a good set of results in terms of iRacing to his name in the sports car classes. However, not a regular Radicals driver with the burden of the number 1 on their back today.
As much as I've been in and out of the Radical Cup paddock here, yeah, I agree. You know, it's neat to see Hawkin carrying the number 1 plate, but it's interesting that he's chosen this week to run, of course, Road America. Everybody wants to run here in Radical, so really anywhere up and down the system. And of course, yeah, looking up and down, you've got Barry Gullickson, Ivani, Larson, Braun. So a lot of names we're all familiar with, and some that are joining us for the first time. So great to see that. I think we've got about 16 cars. While, you know, that's a very low number here for Road America, gotta say, I think with the talent that we have, it's going to be a stacked and packed race.
Yes, I think it absolutely will be. we do have those familiar names as well to contend with. 2:00.0 then is the time for Brandon Hawkin to begin with, and that's not as quick as Peter Ivany, first of all, who goes over the line. In fact, that might not count actually, it's not coming up just yet, but we'll just hang on for a moment. Mid-59s is the current benchmark as Dennis Kyrgiopoulos makes his way towards the line as well, just within a second of the pole there, as is Bruno Vitorino, who just gets himself in there as well. Kjetil Larsen on the board, Robert Woodward ahead of those. That's a decent start for him. Huber Gulliksen third place for the moment as Eric Carmen comes to a stop coming towards the start-finish line there. Not sure what that's all about. Number of drivers just making their way towards the end of a lap time right now. Heinz Braun, one of those. Did a lead last night where he was going okay. Heinz Braun around here. You see, he was making one or two errors, but he was going all right. Let's see how he goes on this particular lap, if that one indeed counts. It doesn't look like it does. So Peter Ivany gets through the first set of times, it looks like, with the best time, and Max Davies in second place as well. It's been a quiet start here. Lots of laps not counting there first time round.
What I love about this circuit is you know when you're going to go off and when you're not going to go off, but at the same time you really want to stay within. Like Jake Williams, you saw him over there going into turn 5. Looks like he kind of took a wider entry going in. I'm not sure if that counted for his lap, but we'll see here when he comes across the line. A lot of drivers who have laps that didn't count. And of course, you know, pretty quick laps as well, but you take a look at the top 4 and they're all within 0.2 of a second. Ivany, Davies, Berry, and Gulliksen, all just so close. And even Davies and Berry, you blink and you'll miss that. 0.006 seconds separates the two of them as Williams comes down into Canada corner. 54 seconds in sector 2, and you see the car just slipping, heading, drifting right out to that wide rumble strip. I remember when they just put that in not too long ago. And drivers are complaining it's a little bit rough, but they're learning here about how to use that to their advantage. I'll tell you what, Williams, he's got a slippy race car right now.
Let's see what he can do here coming up towards the line. Brandon Hawkin finally showing his number 1 status as he goes to the top here with a 59.2, despite Peter Ivany improving indeed on his second lap time. It's a 59.7 from Williams, which might get him to third, not quite. Just in behind, James Barry goes to fourth. Just in behind him, Dennis Kyrgiopoulos slips up into the top 5 as well now. So some more representative times starting to come in here. In terms of new drivers getting onto the board, that looks like it's pretty much it. Eric Carmen and Leon Hernandez have seemingly decided to start from the back here. Max Davies improves to third place with that lap time there. Heinz Braun is going to be a new driver onto the line though, and he will get to 6th place there with that first lap time. Only a minute to go here, and yeah, Brandon Hawkin looks like he is showing that number 1 status. Looks like he's on his way to a pole position here.
Of course, there's Ole Henrik Gulliksen coming around through the Bilmicha Bend, setting up for turn number 14. The long run, which if you've never been to Road America, this hill is no joke. I remember the first time I drove down the highway, looking up at it for Champ Car Weekend, and it's like, you just cannot believe your eyes how high it goes. And you're climbing till right about there. That's when you start going down right away. So that apex area of the hill is just past start finish. That's going to make things a lot harder, especially since you're starting to climb right there at Canada corner. There's Leon Hernandez yet to set a time as his warm-up time was a 3:26.2.
Indeed. Bit of a slide out of turn 8. He makes his way towards the carousel as the seconds tick on past, and it looks like it's going to be that's going to be that for qualifying. 13 drivers having set times out the 16 who are in the session. So let's hope they all race in a few moments, but they haven't all qualified here tonight from Road America. Brandon Hawkin qualifies on pole, though, just in front of Peter Ivany there by a 1/10 of a second or so. Max Davies and James Barry then on row 2 in front of Jake Williams and Heinz Braun, who are next in line. 4th row will be Dennis Kyrgiopoulos and Bruno Vitorino. Huber Gulliksen surprisingly down in 9th, who's just alongside Robert Woodward. Mikael Mercier is next, and then 12th for Kjetil Larsen. Romafo, Eric Carmen, Leon Hernandez and Ole Gulliksen round out the field. Some unusual names up towards the front. Brandon Hawkin and Max Davies don't see so often in the radicals, but plenty of other names as well. This has got the potential for quite an unpredictable race.
I think it is with as many drivers that were close together here in qualifying. It's going to make things interesting. The Reds are up for our start.
Well, the lights will be on in a moment. They're They seem to do this when they get onto the grid every week. They just rev like they're about to start for about 2 minutes. I can't think it does their engine any good, but anyway, clearly it's not too bad. They do it every week. I can't imagine that. I mean, listen to that. I can't imagine the fuel save gains they make from doing that are really beneficial in the amount that they'd be lightening up. But anyway, you do have to wait a little while before the start actually gets underway. So we'll just hold on for a moment. There you can see down the bottom of the screen there, by the way, some of the facts from the last season. It's been a very, very close season 2. What about season 3 as we have lift-off here on Friday nights in the Radical Esports Cup for season 3 of the year? Lights are on and we are green for the first time this season. Oh, it's a slithering start from Hawkin there on the inside line, going absolutely nowhere. Peter Ebony overtakes with just a normal start, to be honest, and Hawkin goes right back into the middle of the pack. James Barry's up to 2nd place, and it's Heinz Braun who's up to 4th. Kyrgiopoulos ahead of Jake Williams, then rounding out the top 5ers off in the background there. Looks like Eric Harmon going straight on through turn 1, but a disaster of a start for the pole sitter Brandon Hawkin, who drops down into 8th place.
Yeah, if you're not used to standing starts, it's going to be a very tough time. Of course, you see all the regulars up at the front. Even Barry, Braun, Williams, your top 4 with side-by-side action. All 3 wide going into turn number 5 as we're looking nice and tight through one of the slowest corners here on the circuit. And then you go back uphill towards turn number 6. A blind left-hander come up under the Corvette bridge. You really got to set yourself up. You're on board with Hawkin as now his march to the front begins. He's up to 7th, but he's got to deal with at least a couple of inner cars up here with Kyrgiopoulos up there.
Whoa, that's a squeeze for Hawkin. He's trying to be aggressive here early on, regaining some of these places that he lost in that poor start, but he's not going to manage it here, or is he? He's making a good fist of this on the outside through the carousel. Hubert Gullickson on the inside of him is not going to get anywhere here. He's made up 1 place as well from where he started. A poor qualifying from him down in 9th place that he's looking to recover from at the moment. This is what happened down towards turn 1. Meantime, for Eric Harmon, who was the only one to come unstuck, thankfully, in towards turn 1 here on lap number 1. Oh, he just got the braking wrong there and went straight on into the gravel. There goes Hawkin down the inside of Kyrgiopoulos in towards Canada corner, and he moves through into 6th position.
Yeah, Kyrgiopoulos made him work for it. Hawkin now up to 6th place. Now he sets his sights towards Davies, who sits up there in 5th place. And Davies goes off course, so that's going to be an easy pass for Hawkin. And now he's got a little bit of time to get back to Jake Williams as we got a problem.
Well, Gullickson there was on the ground, and there's more contact. Max Davies there slams into the side of Herbert Gullickson, who was on the grass almost trying to take 2 places in 1 a moment ago. He'll have to settle for just the 1 place made there as Max Davies gets a terrible run onto the front straight here. He's round the outside of Bruno Vitorino, and he's wide and off now through turn 1. There goes Robert Woodward through as well. It's a bad start here, or a bad end to the lap, I should say, to the starting lap there for Max Davies, who drops now down to 10th position. Into the slipstream they go now, and Gullickson is on the charge at the moment. He's undeterred clearly by that side-to-side contact coming up the straight there in towards turn 5 for the leaders. Their single file. Gullickson is on the charge still. He's following Brandon Hawkin through. He's now up to 6th place. He's getting past Denis Kyrgiopoulos into turn 5 on this charge through the field.
I'll tell you what, Kyrgiopoulos had a great start, but now falling back a couple of positions to Hawkin and Gullickson. And now if I'm Hawkin, I'm hoping these guys are going to fall in line behind me, but we've seen over the past lap and a half, that has not been the case because everybody's been side by side. At the bottom of your screen, even you trying to get away from James Barry and Heinz Braun, and those are 2 drivers you really don't want behind you, with Jake Williams not too far away. So you got a couple of great battles here, but you've got a very feisty Heinz Braun sitting back there trying to see if he can go around James Barry.
Yeah, indeed. That's front 4 starting to define itself now, really. The rest of them behind scrapping for places. Well, having said that, Jake Williams is also looking for places here. He gets past Heinz Braun there down the inside into Canada corner. Wasn't expecting that so much, actually. Was expecting this front 4 to be a little bit more orderly in the early laps here, but maybe not through the final turn. And yeah, Jake Williams is up to 3rd place. What does Heinz Braun do in response here towards turn number 1? Does he try and regain a place, or does he just stay behind and accept that for the moment? He's going to have to go to the outside. No, he's going to push him. So there you go. There's a bit of an insight into what's going to happen here. Heinz Braun wants them to work together, and he pushes Jake Williams down the front straight there.
found it interesting that Evany was all up against the pit wall there going down the straightaway in spite of Barry being so far. But we know if he smells blood in the water, he's going to close in. Right there you have Kira Capolis losing another spot as Vitorino goes around the number 11. That's going to be for 7th place. So the 7th currently in 7th right now. And not sure what's going on with Dennis here, but he's not having a good time. However, if you're Brandon Hawken, yeah, you're kicking yourself for having a bad start, but you're watching the top. As we get big problems as Kirkopolis has more issues. He's going to fall down line. Bruno Vitorino also falling down. So a little bit of contact in turn 5. You see that a lot here, and a little surprising, though, that it happened so late in the going.
That was really big contact on the way down towards turn 5 there. Bruno Vitorino involved with Dennis Kirkopolis, who's the one who's dropped down the most, and he's probably got the most damage out of that as well, though Bruno Vitorino will be doing well to be unscathed after that one. That was a big moment coming down the straight there towards turn 5. Romain Faux gets ahead of Leon Hernandez further down there, by the way, as well, but still 4 for the lead, still single file, and no such dramatic moments for these guys up here.
Kirkopolis is lucky that he didn't end up in the gravel or in the tire barriers, because that could have been all sorts of nasty. As you watch the replay up here, let's see, it looks like a little bit of 2 drivers just going for 1 spot. And yeah, that was just Kirkopolis. Let's see here. Does he miss the wall on the inside? Looks like he barely grazes it, but unfortunately, he's all the way back shotgun on the field, about 16 seconds as Romain Faux and Gulkson go in. Hernandez having problems somewhere on the circuit, probably around the Billy Mitchell bend, but your top 4, they're dancing all over the place down here on that straightaway. As Barry looks to the inside, he has a dance partner in Williams. Does he take the beat? No, he doesn't.
Interesting to see what's happening here in these groups, whether they're choosing to work together or not, stay single file or not, especially in the case of this front 4 with Brandon Hawken and Robert Gullickson catching them as well. This is what's happened further down between Faux and it was Hernandez who was alongside him previously. I wonder if it still is. Over the penultimate turn, there's the spin and there's the contact as well, as they all pile in. Romain Faux was the one who made the initial contact. Oh, and he actually went for his own spin there out of the final turn as well. Meantime, in the bottom right of your screen, Jake Williams has gone for it here, round the outside through turn 5 and then turn 6 here on James Barry, and he's going to make it through. A nice pass there from Jake Williams, but has that given Peter Evany now the cap that he can get away with?
More importantly, look at how close now Hawken is to the back of Braun. So these guys all trying to find for position has really helped our pole sitter close in on the rest of the field. Of course, you've got Havard Gullickson sitting back there as his draft partner, but we're in for a great race here now, Ewan, as everybody's kind of, your fast guys are all leading up to each other.
And certainly are. The fastest drivers are competing amongst themselves here for these positions at the very front of the field. I've lost a couple of drivers down the field, as you can see there, with some pit stops, but the main contenders are all here at the front of the field. Peter Evany is not quite clear yet. He's gotten the biggest gap that he has had, I think, in this race since this one started 4 laps ago, and since he took the lead, don't forget, with that launch off the line, as Brandon Hawken went pretty much nowhere off of the stop. But that's gone out, and it's been reeled back in again by Jake Williams now. Here comes Heinz Braun in behind James Barry. Heinz Braun was very much advocating with Jake Williams for sort of an orderly fashion here, but is he still doing that? With 3 wide almost in towards turn 1 here, as Brandon, there's contact and there's an off! There's an off for James Barry and Heinz Braun, as Brandon Hawken tried to overtake them both. Barry and Braun go off the road, and the gravel kicked onto the racetrack is spat in the faces of these guys for in the battle for 7th position. Goodness me, this is it's all happening here, and Braun and Barry are taken out of contention surely with that.
Well, I mean, it's still early in the race. We haven't reached a halfway point yet, but then again, you look at Hawken and Gullickson. Now they're in the catbird seat to close in on Williams and Evany as they work their way through the circuit right now. And tell you what, Evany has a whole lot of Williams on his side pod mirrors as they work their way through turn number 7. So nobody better step a toe out of line once again, because there's a lot of drivers who have fallen ill will of one another as they work their way out of turn number 8 once again. And this is going to be such a fun run. You take a look at the replay here, and look, you, and they were fixing to get bent here the whole time. And it just looks like that Barry tried to go for some space that just wasn't there. And unfortunately, he just ended up in the gravel, probably the worst of all of them.
Well, he did lose out the most of them. I think he was worried about Hawkin on the inside and obviously trying to give room to Braun on the outside. So I don't really think that's his fault, but he has lost out the most as a result of it. And he's down to 6th place here, dragged back in with that group that we saw further behind. It's really reduced those at the front here. Brandon Hawkin actually able to gain both of those places fairly easily as a result of that. Not really sure he did anything wrong either, really, to be honest. And Herbert Gullickson obviously gets a couple of places for free as well, so he's up to 4th place now. And there's still 7 laps to go, don't forget, at the end of this one. So that's a significant portion of this race still remaining for Brandon Hawkin to pull off what would be an unlikely comeback here from that poor start.
It really would. I think these guys keep fighting for position here. That will bring back in Gullickson, Braun, and Barry. And Barry actually goes into the top 5 now with the passes. You see a couple of Davies trying to look to the inside. Kettle Larson sitting back there, but Davies thinks he might be able to make a move on Braun here. But I think if these drivers can all hook up, we're going to see a big conga line. And yeah, in spite of what happened to Barry, look, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be able to get to the front. We know how good James Barry is in these SR10s. And here comes Heinz Braun looking to the inside in the turn 5. This is going to be almost a hold your breath pucker moment, because Braun's got a whole head of steam and a whole lot of cars behind. Davies almost ends up in the back of Braun as he runs the defensive line through turn number 5.
As always, all happens down towards turn number 5, and this group is the largest in the field now, headed by James Barry in 5th position, and back to Victorino and Woodward, who were side by side there for a moment as well, in 9th and 10th. There are 6 drivers involved here, whereas just 3 for the lead. So 2 big groups to focus in on here, but always the bigger groups are the more chaotic, and especially when there's 2 drivers who really don't want to be here. I mean, all of them would rather be battling for the race win, I'm sure, but James Barry and Heinz Braun were battling for the lead earlier, and now they're dragged back into this big group behind as well.
Gullickson running all by himself as you see battle for position. That's Williams looking to the inside of Eveny, going to the heavy braking zone through Canada corner. They'll go up the hill to the Bill Mitchell bend. And I think if I'm Eveny, I'm taking a defensive line coming off of 14, because that's going to mean that Williams is going to try something. If you want Williams to pass, you want him on the high side where the grip's not going to be so good in one. You really got to hold on to that throttle and make sure that you're able to keep the car around. Look, these SR10s, they have absolutely fantastic aerodynamics, but I don't think they have hang it loose around turn 1, as you see even doing the snake down the straightaway. Williams looks to the inside. Does he dive late? He's going to make him go side by side through 1 for the battle for the lead, as they're all close to each other down into the run through 3. Right now, Williams doesn't have the advantage. It's Eveny, but Williams is going to take the position in turn 3.
Williams through on the inside line, and we'll see how long that lasts, because Peter Eveny's right in the section behind, and it's Brandon Hawkin he might have to worry about more. He's been boxed in there as Eveny. He's been boxed in, and so now he's just going to push Williams to try and hope that he can retain 2nd place here. Hawkin on the outside looking to go round, and turn 5 nearly contact. Oh, they give each other the room. Great respect shown in the end, and Brandon Hawkin moves up to 2nd, so it's Eveny who loses out in that one. Second half of this race begins with a bang, and Peter Eveny begins by losing that lead and losing 2nd place shortly after.
Problems with Davies. He's fallen down the order, and really any less driver would have ended up in the driver's left turn 5. All that was absolutely fantastic stuff with Hawkin and Eveny. Let's see what happens to Davies. They work their way down through 4, and a lot of snaking going on, more than what we normally see, but I would imagine if it's into 5, it's no less contact as they work their way almost 3 wide going into that heavy braking zone. And yep, there we go, a little bit contact, and just, oh, that's a hard hit right there for Davies, Braun, and all sorts of company. Here comes Hawkin on the outside, though. I think he's going to lose out on that 3rd position. No, he's knocking on the door of the lead, because Williams has it for now, but I don't think that lead's going to last.
No, indeed. It's going to be one of those races where it constantly flips and flops over the course of the day, or indeed the final half of this race, I should say. And there might even be another member in here as well before the finish, as Harvard Gullikson is only a second and a half or so behind. Here comes Brandon Hawkin then, taking the lead by the start-finish line, and that might be quite crucial. Is it going to come to a run down towards the line there, and in which case Brandon Hawkin would have won that one. He was ahead at the line. Williams is still alongside at turn 1 though, and he's going to hold on from now into that race lead. Side by side down the hill towards turn 3. Peter Eveny waits in the wings, he waits behind, and we'll see Williams get to the lead again in front of Brandon Hawkin, who sits back behind. What about Peter Eveny now again? He's going to push Brandon Hawkin here. They're going to both go past Jake Williams here, are they? Or is Eveny going to then dump Hawkin and go to the lead himself? Williams drops to third, and here comes Peter Eveny. He's going to go for the lead himself. He saw the plan there perfectly, and he executes it into turn 5. He gets the lead. Williams almost gets back past Hawkin as well. It's constantly changing here between these three. It's still only lap 8, and Peter Eveny leads again, but how much longer? Who's going to win this race? It's impossible to predict at the moment.
And this is just classic Road America right here. You have a fast driver who started at the back, whether it be through a consequence of a start issue or a consequence of not getting a lap in qualifying, and a dance for the lead. It's a 3-car dance. You saw Gullikson closing ever so slightly. That number 3 is getting larger and larger in these drivers' mirrors. They work their way out of the carousel towards the kink. And I got to say, Hawkin, I think, is probably going to be making a move here as they work their way through Cattle Bottom around 11A and now 11B. They'll set themselves up as Hawkin all over the back of Eveny through 11B. Now almost side by side. There goes Williams for second place. He gets it, slides his way into second. Now Eveny has to worry about the 9.
Yeah, indeed. This just continues to change this, and there's still a third of this race remaining, of course. It's always the case when there's 3 in a group for the lead like this on a track like this where it is so easy to overtake. It's always the case when there's 3 that things get a little bit weird and a little bit difficult to actually contend with. Well, there could be 4 in here yet as Gullikson tries to catch up. We'll see whether he actually gets here or not. But at the moment, it's quite enough entertainment, to be honest. Even he holds on to the lead this time in towards turn 1. Williams happy to stay behind. Have they now found their happy place in this group and are happy to stay here until the white flag's waving in 3 laps' time? Somehow I doubt that, but we'll wait and see here as they come out of turn 3. This will be very telling here on the way towards turn 5. Have they all found the place they want to be going into the final lap? No, they clearly haven't. Jake Williams wants to lead again as he comes down towards turn 5. Brandon Hawkin happy to watch this one unfold in front of him this time. Peter Eveny happy to let this one go, it looks like, and he does. One of the less manic laps, but they're still not quite happy with where they are. They're still trying to work this one out, and this is what I mean. When there's 3 in the group, there's a whole other layer of negotiation that has to go on before you're happy with your position going on to the last lap.
I think Eveny thought about making a dive into turn number 6, which is very high risk, low reward as they work their way heading into the carousel. You're on board with your pole sitter, as on paper now, if you think, oh, he lost 2 positions, it sucks, but hey, it could be a lot worse. Well, it was a lot worse if you're just tuning in, as Hawkin just missed the standing start. Basically was caught sleeping at the line. Through the kink they come. Now it's Eveny's turn to see if he can go to the inside. But then again, lately we've seen the driver in third try make a move. However, Williams having to hold off Eveny, making him go around the hard side, and Eveny gets back into the lead. Williams falls into second place. Hawkins stuck for scraps to third.
He is so far, I think, Hawkin, just sizing these 2 up, just wondering, where is my place in this at the moment? Do I want to be third going on to the last lap? I feel he thinks that might actually be the best place to be, going on to the last lap here in third place. Now, Williams is not going to make the move in towards turn 1 by the looks of things. It seems to be him staying out of the slipstream that time round. Is this going to be now for the next 3 laps? Williams and Eveny exchanging places until the last lap where Brandon Hawkin gets involved. We'll wait and see. Towards turn 1, Williams is not going to do anything. And maybe Hawkin's going to be hoping that they actually get on with this and stop exchanging places, because it is costing the whole group time, and that is allowing Harvard Gullikson to close in a little bit. Let's see whether he closes in enough to be here by the end, though. His race is really winding down now. On the straight towards turn 5 they come. Jake Williams is not as close as he was last time, so he has less opportunity to come through, but he's still close enough. Just shows you how easy, in inverted commas, it is to overtake around here at Road America, because Williams did not have the best exit, and he still gets down the inside into the race lead.
It's just a matter of getting into that draft, and that's the most important thing. You've got 4 opportunities to get into a draft here and make something happen. This is one of the 4, in spite of having turn 7, which is about as kinky as you can get here at Road America. They get the heavy braking zone downhill in turn number 8 as the Kid Carters take a look at this battle and kind of emulate what they want to do when they get just a little bit older. But around the carousel, interesting that Eveny's run a little bit higher line that backs him up into Hawken, but it gives Williams a chance to close in. Of course, this could be the reason why these guys are oh so good coming around the kink, is because now they get a good run off of turn number 11. Hawken going to look to the inside of Eveny. He's going to get that second spot for the time being, and Williams is going to bring him with them, take a defensive line, force Eveny to the high side, and then that's going to give this battle for second place a little bit more credence, but Eveny able to get that second spot once again.
Indeed. They exchange again, these leaders, Eveny and Williams, just giving the lead away, getting it back again, giving it away and getting it back again. Brandon Hawken is getting restless there as well, because if Gluckson is going to make a catch, then he's going to want to be not third. And here comes Hawken now, pushing Eveny perhaps into a position he actually doesn't want to be in. Hawken backs out, Eveny not that committed on the outside of turn 1, and it was quite a brave move out there. And Hawken very nearly hits him, almost accidentally, coming out of turn number 1, and he has now got restless. I thought he was going to wait for the last lap, but there's still 2 to go here, Brandon Hawken. He moves up to second place. Does he try and get the lead here towards turn 5? And now Gullickson's definitely in the draft. He's definitely here to stay, and maybe that's why he's gone a lap early, as opposed to waiting for the last lap, as might have been his plan. Here he comes to the inside. He thinks, if in doubt, lead out here in the final lap of this race, and he goes to the inside on turn number 5 to lead with a lap and a half to go, but this story is far from over yet.
Got about 6 miles left to go till you see the checkered flag, and Hawken he isn't going to lift until he sees God down into turn number 8. It's a bigger lead for Hawken than what he might thought, but Gullickson, that's him knocking at the door, and nobody wants to let him in, because if Gullickson gets involved in this scrap, it's going to be game over for all 3 of these drivers, as they're really going to have to put their elbows out in every single corner. As they come out of the carousel once again, Hawkins opens up a 0.3 of a second lead. Is that going to be big enough for Williams to have to climb up and make a pass? He's really closing in, coming off of turn number 11A. Down through the kettle bottoms. Williams looks to the inside through Canada, and he's going to get a sniff of the lead, maybe all the lead, but Hawken having to step on it a lot harder, going to the inside. Billy Mitchell bed. You don't see that pass that often without trouble.
Well then, it's Hawken who's going to lead them out. What's going to happen on this last lap here? Coming towards turn number 1 and through the rest of this lap. Can Hove Gullickson pull off the miracle of all miracles here? Starting 9th place in only a 12-lap race. Coming through to go on and lead. It's side by side for the lead and for third. Gullickson with the triple slipstream has got the momentum. Pushing Peter Eveny, the long-time race leader here tonight, down into 4th place there. Although he's still holding out on the outside line. That might reduce it to Jake Williams versus Brandon Hawken. Gullickson backs out on the way towards turn 3. That might be his chance over now, unless something special happens down here. In towards turn 5 on the very last lap. Williams is weaving from left to right and left and right again. Here comes Brandon Hawken, looking to get back to this lead. He's going to be defended though. He has to go to the outside this time, as does Hove Gullickson, and Hawken can't get there. He's nearly hit by Eveny, who brakes late himself. They're still side by side. Hawken can't quite do it into turn 6. It's a fight for third between Eveny and Gullickson. It's Williams versus Hawken for the race win.
Gullickson dives it in deep through 7. It's so much to watch here. Hawkins going to try and tuck in here at to 8, and they work their way into the carousel once again. And like I said, if Gullickson got involved, it was going to be game over for somebody. It might be game over for Eveny, as the 2 adversaries go toe-to-toe for the bottom step of the podium. Meanwhile, at top, Hawkins goes off course coming off the carousel. Is that going to be a race over for him? He's a little too far away. It might be, but he's still got a ways to go for the next heavy braking zone of Canada Corner. Is that brake pedal going to be a little soft? And will Gullickson make a pass on Eveny going into turn number 12? They're side by side for 3rd place, and it's still Gullickson. He's going to go high, wide, and handsome. Ewan, who's going to be in 3rd, but more importantly, can Williams hold off Hawken?
Well, Williams is certainly going to hold on for this race lead. That mistake out of the carousel is going to do it for Brandon Hawkin. But for third position, Hubert Gullikson is just about in front now. Peter Eveny coming back again on the way towards the start-finish line. Jake Williams wins here at Road America in the opening round of the Radical Esports Cup broadcasted split here on Friday nights. Brandon Hawkins second. Peter Eveny does win that run to the line in front of Hubert Gullikson. Kenton Larson just beats James Barry in a run to the line for fifth place, by the way. But what a race that was. Road America always delivers in these Radicals because of the sort of pack racing almost that you see round here. It certainly delivered that tonight, and Jake Williams takes the race victory.
What a fantastic finish. You take a look at how close some of the battles were. Peter Eveny takes third by 0.042 seconds. Kenton Larson takes fifth by 0.053 seconds. So lots of battles up and down the field. And like we said, it's quantity. It's not quantity, it's quality here at Road America.
Here is the race results, and it's Jake Williams who takes a victory. Took one last season as well at Laguna Seca. He's got off to the perfect start this season in front of Brandon Hawkin, Peter Eveny and Hubert Gullikson also in that group. Kenton Larson wins that run to the line ahead of James Barry, with Robert Woodward 7th place, Max Davies, Ollie Gullikson and Eric Harmon rounding out the top 10. Others who finished, Romain Faux and Dennis Kyriakopoulos here today, with Heinz Braun, Bruno Vitorino, Mikel Mercesia and Leon Hernandez, all non-finishers tonight from Road America. Well, what a way to start the season. As I say, that is Jake Williams' first victory of the season in this first round. It took him, 7 or 8 weeks at Laguna Seca to get that victory last season, where he beat Hubert Gullikson and James Barry, who joined him on the podium on that occasion. But, what a victory that was from him. And, there's a little bit of luck involved. Of course, there always is. But timing and tactics were all such a big part of that, as well as the speed that Jake Williams showed as well.
Well, you mentioned it is luck, but at the same time, it's a matter, like you said, of timing those passes right. And I think those first 8 laps, that's where you really find out, okay, well, maybe I can make a move here or make a move there. Most races, you and I talk about this, there's what we call garbage time, where like in the middle, okay, you're just running to, get to that final quarter of the race. Here, you're on it the whole time, because one wrong move, as you saw back there with Kyriakopoulos, you can fall back all the way to the back of the pack, and you're automatically out of contention after battling for the lead, 2 laps earlier.
Yeah, indeed. And it's very unlikely we're going to see a race like that again over the course of this season. Next week, we'll be at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit for you here live on a Friday night. Doesn't look like any of the drivers are going to join us for an interview. So quick word, Jeremy, on next week, Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. Normally, we end up turning left, or indeed not coming to this part at all, actually, in the Grand Prix circuit, and doing the Nordschleife in this series. But I still think the Grand Prix circuit is a good place in its own right for racing, and that will be round 2.
And I don't think you can go wrong with any layout here at Nürburgring. It's one of my favorite Grand Prix races, whether it be, in Formula One, in SRO GT, or even here in Radical Cup, because it has its own set of challenges. A lot of fast-flowing corners, a lot of heavy braking zones, much like Road America. But here, you really have to be on it 95% of the time instead of 100% of the time. So drivers will have a little bit of a break, but I don't think you'll be able to rest too much here. 2100 GMT next Friday.
Yep, make sure you join us again. iRacing and RaceSpotTV will be over it for you here as always. Watch out for Radical Sim Racing action to return as well on RaceSpotTV, by the way, coming up this weekend as well on Sundays, as we sometimes have to complement this series as well. We'll be live with that on Sunday, so make sure you join us for that. But for now, that's it from us. I've been Ewan Leary alongside Jeremy Scott, with Miro Augustin Cisneros behind the cameras of this broadcast here tonight. Until we see you again at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit next week, it's goodbye for now.